Hey, we're going to get to this episode of Pause in just a second. I wanted to give a big thank you to our new partners at the Serenity Center for making this possible. We'll be creating so much content with many of their clinicians. This time we sat down with Mordechai Weinberger from the Serenity Center, the executive director of the Serenity Center. So a big thank you. We discussed everything about homesickness, anxious children in camp. Do I call them? Should they call me? Should I answer? Do I take them home? Do I leave them there? What do I do? And of course, in this episode, there is a strong message that your child can listen to if they're feeling homesick, if they're feeling anxious in camp. So make sure that you yourself listen to it. And of course, as part of this episode, that they can listen to themselves. A big thank you to the Serenity Center and the team over there. And a big thank you to Jack Friedler, the Friedler family, for making this possible. We are investing so much into this mental health platform that Meaningful Minute is working on. Thanks to the Serenity Center and the Friedler family. Revolutionary platform being spearheaded by such amazing people. So a big thank you to them. And make sure to sign up to Pause on WhatsApp. That is a place where a lot of our content will be hitting. So go ahead, hit the link in the show notes of this episode, the description of this episode. There's a link. Sign up to our WhatsApp status because it is time to take your mental health seriously. Enjoy this episode. Here with Mordechai Weinberger from Serenity Center. So I'm honored to be here. And I'm looking to have a very real conversation with you about something that is, it's the thing of the day. It's about kids in camp who are homesick, who are anxious, who are suffering right now with that. And, a lot of parents I've been hearing from through Pause have been telling me, like, this is something that they're struggling with. They don't know what to do. They went upstate for visiting day, and they're leaving the kid's crying, the kid's telling they want to come home. Tell me through your eyes, through your practice, what you're seeing regarding this.
So I really appreciate you bringing up this topic because Baruch Hashem, I've got kids. And I went to pick up one of my kids or several of my kids from visiting day. And as I was speaking to the camp owner, she shared that many girls went home or are struggling this year more than other years than they've ever had. And exactly what you said, they're crying at night. They want to go home. And they want to go home, they want to stay home. And this is something that we're seeing a lot more, and the solutions are so simple as well. So the panic or the fear that parents have, because we love our children, and they're home with us, and they struggle in school. Everyone's got a little struggle somewhere. They can cry a couple of minutes. But when you get a call from camp, your son, your daughter is crying, bawling, like you are worried, like, first, the worst thing, who knows what happened to them, or will me keeping them there make it much worse? So I'd rather just take them home.
Why do you think you mentioned that it's happening more than ever? What do you attribute that to?
I don't have the answer why it's more than ever. One thing I do know is that it's not just the frum world. It's not just a certain society. It's the entire world. When you're reading studies in the United States, it's exploding. When you're reading studies in Europe, it's exploding. You're reading studies in Asia, Japan, China, it's exploding. So I don't like saying one reason, two reasons. I've got a lot of different thoughts. I think we could be here a while to discuss that.
Yeah.
But I would give like 2, 3 little ideas just for parents to realize what's happening. Most of the calls when the kids are crying are from 11 o'clock and on at night.
Right.
We need sleep. We're not getting sleep in camp. And that means that all our emotions get heightened.
Honestly, I was extremely homesick. Probably a week every summer until I was older, I would call my parents. Like you said, sometimes I wake up at 5 a.m. I'd call them crying. I wanted to come home. Luckily, my parents did not let me come home, and I, toughed it out, which was huge for me to stay in camp. I think coming home would be destructive, but I wonder now that you're mentioning it, I wonder if the lack of sleep, the poor nutrition, if that attributed to it.
That is definitely a component, meaning when we're not on our full, let's say, gas tank of emotions that we can handle the pressure or life or challenges, the lower it is, the less we can handle. So now imagine a teenager or even a child going away and they don't sleep well And then we're going to get to an interesting concept called the attachment theory. That is really the secret, and that's the entire solution, actually, how to help the kids and not to take them home, or if you take them home, when they're home, what to do with them, that they should then build that emotional gas tank, or I call it emotional bank account, that now they can handle being on their own.
Okay, so we're moving to the territory of, okay, your kid's homesick, here's what to do. So whether it's visiting day and you're with your kid, or they're coming home for visiting day, homesick child, they're sitting there, they're crying, what's the move?
All right. So first let's understand how it works with a child. So I love giving the original background of a theory. Today in America, or I should say in the world, one of the biggest prominent theories that everyone's talking about is called attachment theory. What does attachment theory mean? So let's get how it started. This guy, John Bowlby, a psychologist, he did most of his studies actually on Jewish children on the kinder transport. When the children were in England, Hitler is bombing London, so they have to send all the children to the countryside where they won't be bombed. And also he's wondering, why are some kids managing so well away from their parents and so many kids aren't? And many of those kids were also taken in as refugees from Europe. And he's wondering what's happening that some children are managing and some aren't. And then, of course, as most things in psychology, they take it to themselves. And he realized that he was raised in middle-age England. He was born, I think it was like 1890s, something like that. And in middle-age England, you get 1 hour a day with your mother, 10 minutes a day with your father, max, and the rest of the day you're raised by your nanny. And then from about 7 and up, boys get sent to boarding schools. So he shares that at 4 years old, his nanny that loved him left. And he equates it to the death of a parent. And he says with her, he felt loved, secure. And then they got a new nanny, a new babysitter, and it was a disaster. And he started getting anxious, and he's going through everything he was feeling. And the 1 hour of time with his mother wasn't enough. And the 10 minutes a day with his father wasn't enough, because that was the rigid, stoic relationship. And he shares that he recognized the importance of one caregiver, could be mother, father, or even, as he calls it, a nanny, that if you have that attachment of someone taking care of you, you can then be on your own, manage, and if you don't have that one person, that's when you can be anxious. Now, he takes it a step further, and now he explains what that means. That means, and this is what's amazing, a healthy attachment is a child gets their parent, and you see them loving you and hugging you, and it feels great. And he says, imagine you got a kid going into a new room completely alone, like with the parent, and also the kid's hanging around the mother's skirt or the father. Then after about 2 minutes starts exploring and then looks back at the parent and comes running right back to them. And he says, now imagine this is an emotional gas tank. So the kid is in the room, petrified, no gas tank, no emotional security. As they're around the parent, it fills up, goes to full. They move away. They start using the gas. As it goes down to 0, they come running back, fills up again, and then they start exploring more and more of the room. Then the kid starts going out of the room, and right away comes running back, secure. The parent, meanwhile, is talking to the kid, you're good, you're okay, I'm right here, doing those cooing sounds for little babies, and they're able to go. So emotional bank account is saying that the more you're around the kid, and you're giving them the reassurance, the further they can go. That also means that he's saying that when the kid is afraid and is worried, the kid can cry. In a healthy relationship that parents have with children, kids are happy around the parents, can also express their fears and their concerns. So when your kid is crying to you, I want to come home for camp, that means you did a great job. If your kid is excited going to camp, it means you did a great job. The challenge that I'm finding right now is we're just missing that knowledge, how to teach our children when we're not there, how to fill up their emotional security, that this way they feel confident being away from us and being strong.
Well, is there a way to, twofold, is there a way to prolong the gas they have in the tank? Meaning, that the child you mentioned is running away and coming back, running away, coming back. Is there a way to, I don't know, maybe fill up premium gasoline where it lasts longer? And beyond that, what are, I guess the next question would be, what are the ways that the kid could fill up their own gas tank?
Excellent. So to both of those questions, if I could just share the story that you shared is, you appear to be a very confident person. You love camp. But yet when we hit those 5 a.m.s and the doubts kick in, that is where we need premium. That's where we need the parents to have the skills not to go, I'm taking home my child, because then they will feel secure. What actually happens is the exact opposite. What the child or teenager now has is this new program in their mind. When I am with mommy and tate, I'm secure. When I'm away, I'm afraid. I can't sleep away. I can't go away. We've got issues of Bachram having to go to Eretz Yisrael, girls having to go to seminary, and they're afraid to go.
Really?
And their proof is, I couldn't go to camp. How am I going to manage a year away from my parents?
So taking a kid home is you're kind of like telling them, you're right, you can't do this.
That's right. You're actually teaching them. I am not teaching you the skills how to manage premium.
You're teaching them you need to be connected to me at all times.
That's right. And that is now what they call sort of the anxious resistant type connection, where it's a love-hate relationship. The kids want to leave the parents. Like, I want to go away, but I'm afraid and I need you. So now they start resenting the parents.
Yeah. I always found that for me, Shabbos is very difficult in camp. I'm sure there's a reason behind it. It could be you can't call, you feel like trapped. At the same time, like, you so badly want to stay. And there was maybe one Shabbos in my entire life that I was not in camp, is because I went home for a simcha. And I remember how once I got home, and I was so excited to go home because, oh, I'm gonna, again, you're saying you're refilling that gas tank. But at the same time, once I got home, I was like, ugh, I'm probably missing so much in camp. I so badly want to be back there. That's exactly what you're explaining.
That's right. So if we understand that this is a normal stage, so I love watching my children, since as a therapist, I actually enjoy watching the stages develop. Yeah. So I got, let's say, the 5-6-year-old kid that's saying, I want to have a sleepover by my friend. We always know within 2 hours of when it's time to go to sleep, like they're having a great time, they're 7, 8, 9 o'clock, also 9:30. Ma, you have to pick me up. It's a disaster, crying. And like, we laugh. This is normal part of the process. If parents can understand that the way we build that premium tank, the way we build it up is actually by going away, by coming back and us reassuring them. The important part that parents don't know, and that I see all the time, and to me it's so simple because I do it all the time, is what actually gives the kids the confidence is us, the parents. When we are okay with their crying and we're not freaking out, oh, the kid's crying, I try to reassure them, and they're not calming down, it's okay. It'll take them a while to get it. Give your teenager, your son, your daughter, 4 or 5 nights of not liking it. It's a guarantee. We had with one of my kids, I'm not going to go which one because they don't like when I share with that, but it was adorable, where we get a call from the camp mother saying, you got to take your daughter, we're sending her out of the bunk for like an hour. We go, why? Because she gets homesick. She starts crying and the entire bunk starts crying. But she's such a popular, energetic girl that she loves it during the day, and everyone's into sports, everything around her. But when she starts crying, the entire bunk is homesick. And that was like the first bunk when everyone goes. It's like for 1 hour, for like 3-4 nights, she was like with the camp mother, she was with the older girls, and like having a great time. She didn't realize that that's what they're doing. Once most of the girls are sleeping, then we could bring her back to the bunk, and then, she was crying, nervous, and then like within a week, just to tell most parents, within 1 week, your kid is okay. But we just want to give you the little skills and tools during that week, how to build up their tank, that it goes up, down, and then they got it. And once they got it, it's now like a self-energizing
like a
battery.
Life skill also. It's something they can go back to. So let's play out a scenario, you or me, for a second. I'm the homesick kid. I'm calling up my mother or father. It's 11 p.m. at night. I say, I don't want to be here. I can't sleep. It's do this, it's do that. I want to come home. Can you please pick me up? It's a Thursday night. Please pick me up. Please pick me up.
Excellent. Step 1 is before I tell you anything. Step 1 is me, the parent, to know this is normal. This is the next stage in teaching you how to be an adult on your own. That means you have me to reach out to. And step 1 is I remain assured. I remain secure
And confident.
Yeah. And I can now listen to you. So think of the little child when the child is getting a strep throat. Every parent knows that kid's going to scream. We're not yelling at them, why are you crying? We know it really hurts or it's very uncomfortable. So we're reassuring them, we're calming them, we're hugging them. That's step 1. Step 1 and 2 is be confident. It's okay. You're supposed to cry. You're supposed to tell me you want to go home. If a kid is not crying when they're, or not missing their parent, then there's something wrong in that relationship.
Right.
Somewhere the kid's got to feel, I need my parent, because that's a security, that's their safety. So number 1 is Be reassured this is normal. Number two, when I'm speaking to you, I'm not getting nervous now, because once I know this is normal, my job is now, how do you reassure the child when they're running around and they come running back? You're okay. You're hugging them. You tell them it's supposed to happen. You literally reassure the feelings. But it's not, none of my friends are crying. I'm the only one. No, everyone is crying. Girls going to seminary, they're like, I'm supposed to be getting married next year and I'm crying away from my parents. How am I going to marry someone and like be away for life from my parents? Most seminary girls are within the first week or 2 weeks going, okay, camp is over now. This is for 9 months.
Yeah.
How am I going to manage? Your reassurance, telling them it's okay and it's normal. Telling them that everyone is feeling it. Some will express it, some won't, but they'll all express it. They're all going to feel it. That's normal. That's the second step. And that confidence you're going to feel. The kid is going to feel that. That's step two.
Now take a kid that is an anxious kid, and the parents know that this child is, could be a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, and they know their kid. And they know that, okay, gonna go to sleepaway camp, we're taking a shot at this, but already predisposed to, get panic attacks or have anxious thoughts. Does anything change with that child? And if so, what does change?
Absolutely. So the third step that we would do is, and especially for this child, is actually realize that kids need an attachment. They need someone. So usually the times when they cry is if at sports for boys and they're not good at sports, so now they're feeling left out. They chose everyone and he's last to be chosen. That means I'm rejected. So they will hate camp at that time. If it's learning groups and all of a sudden they can't learn, or there's a Rebbe or someone, well, today the Rebbe are amazing, but if they're not meshing with that Rebbe, that's when the boys are going to feel left out. And the girls especially, or the boys and girls as well, as at night, when you're alone and all of a sudden you're being in yourself, and we have different parts of us. We have the confident part, we also have the doubtful part, and that starts going off in there. We want to be able to understand and know that it's okay to have that at those times. So when you actually tell the child that it's okay to have it, the teenagers that it's okay to have it, everyone has got it. That in itself reassures the kid that you have it. So now, if you have a child that's predisposed or we see that they have an issue, how do we give them this connection? And usually it's reaching out to a counselor, maybe slip them a couple of extra bucks, have the division head, camp mother, whoever's there, give them a little attention. What they need is a security. And as we discussed earlier from John Bowlby, he had a nanny till the age of 4 that gave him all that. It doesn't have to be the mother and father. What they need is to feel value, to feel someone's looking at me. That's the secret. So if you have the counselor, if you have a relative in the camp, you have anyone that you can connect and say, look, this is my kid's a little bit more, I don't like using the word anxious, more nervous, because once the kid thinks they're anxious, they think, oh, I'm anxious. You're not anxious. This is normal.
Right.
You're supposed to feel sad. You're supposed to feel that you missed the family. It means we did something right.
Right. Very interesting. So, I mean, it's interesting that you touched upon, you don't like saying anxious, like saying nervous. Does it mean like the word anxious or anxiety means beyond the normal amount of nerves?
Absolutely. So I'm a big believer in the concept of creating awareness. And as we always know, there's a dialectic. There are positives and negatives. The danger of all the awareness that we've created is that now professional, technical, clinical lingo became part of the language. So now I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I'm bipolar. No. It's normal to be stressed. It's normal to have sad days. And it's normal to have ups and downs. And therefore, when you use normal terms, then you feel normal with your challenge versus, I'm anxious, I could never sleep away, I'll never be able to go to yeshiva, to seminary. I'm like, no, this is how you build it up. So when you got your 5, 6-year-old, they're going to sleep at their friend's house. They're going to call you at 9 o'clock, take me home, and you take them home.
Yeah.
And then the second time they go away, this time I'm not going to be afraid, right? And then they go, but you're going to take me home if I want to. And you reassure them, yes, you can. And then you ask them, do you want to take your little blanket? Do you want your teddy bear? Do you have this? Would you want to go with your sister? Would you want to have a relative? Like, what reassurance can we give you that you can do that? And most likely, the second, third, and fourth time, they will still come home. But if you always reassure them, or sometimes, hey, can I go there with you? Or if you need me, I'll stay outside a couple of minutes. So you're telling them, I'm there, but be there. And then you will see that they'll develop the resilience to manage it. So if your kid wants to come home, speak to them on the phone at 11 o'clock. Take them home even for an hour or two, or go rather to the camp and be there with them.
Is that the right thing to do? I remember when I was growing up, the camp director was very adamant about like don't visit randomly, don't come because you're just gonna make it worse. Visiting day, especially at the younger age, every kid was after visiting day was all teary-eyed and everything because it was hard. They were thriving, they're doing well. Some people might say visiting day is the worst because the kid has momentum, he's going, and then all of a sudden, it leads to that sadness again because the kid spends the whole day with his parents. Now they're sad because the parents are leaving again. It's almost like the first day at camp again.
And you're right. So you got to know your child. If visiting your child will make things worse, then don't. Then just be on the phone. Have the counselor, have the division head, have the camp mother, whoever it is, have them do that. If you know your child and your child will benefit from you, that's a tremendous positive. I'll also share with you something very interesting. It's an old theory from Dale Carnegie, but actually physical touch. Kids can use a hug. No matter how old they are, that hug and saying you're good and you're safe, actually saying the words, you need me, I'm here for you, but I know you can do it. Pull through. And sometimes little bribes work as well. Like if you do this, we'll go somewhere, we'll do something, just pull through. And the first day or two, they'll share it so much harder, but then they pull through.
Something so interesting that I want to just bring out with what you're saying that's coming to mind is, one of the messages we got from a subscriber of Pause was, my son is in camp and it's just really not going well. And he's on the phone with me. The person wrote that the kid is 12 years old, he's a boy, and I think he was specifically in a Hasidic camp. And he said, his son said to him, like, I'm not having fun, why am I doing this? And what's coming out from what you're saying, for a parent to understand, is that a parent might think, what am I doing? Like, this is not enjoyable for me either. I'm on the phone with them every single night. Just come home. Enough is enough. But the long-term effect, and even short-term, for them to stay is tremendous.
That's exactly it. Building up our children, if we look that we want to set them up to succeed in life, this sleepaway camp is extremely important. You're teaching them how to be 4 weeks or 8 weeks away from a parent, being on their own with support that eventually they'll be able to be completely on their own. And then the next step is they will be able to give this power now to their children. The
Right.
cycle will be able to continue.
And it also goes the other way.
Yes.
So that's super important. I want to give you the opportunity right now. There could be a visiting day coming up. It could be a parent is listening to this and they have a kid in camp, which I'm sure many people are in that boat, where they want their child to listen to the words that you're about to say. Their kid is homesick, their kid is struggling, their kid is calling. If you can speak directly to that child right now on the phone, what would you say to them?
So what I would tell that child is as follows. Nachi,
Yeah.
you're an awesome child. You're amazing and you're great. You see how well you're doing in yeshiva or in school. You see how you're doing with friends. You see how you're able to sleep away at grandparents' house, cousins. You see we can go to hotels with the family. You're doing great. This next step, where you're away from us, is the most powerful skill that you can learn to start being an individual. And being an individual means there are two parts. It means you're on your own, but you also have support. And everyone, the first time they do something, is going to be afraid, no matter what. I remember the first day I walked into social work school. I remember now the first day I'm into psychology school. And I'm doing this for over 15 or 17 years as a therapist, as a social worker. And now I'm going into psychology school. It was like scary. Do I know what I'm doing? That's normal. And what I'd like to tell you, Nachi, teenager, or whoever you are listening, is as follows. The studies show that when you start anything new, your anxiety, and I don't use the word anxiety, I'll use the word the fear goes up. If you can stay with that fear, not run away from it, it will then go down. If you run away, then every time you think about it, it will go up. Then now people develop the fear of the fear. That people at Pesach time are worried, how am I going to go to camp? So fear of the fear is if you don't stay till the end. So what I'd like to tell you, teenager, whoever you are, Nachi, is as follows. You're afraid, and I promise you, everyone is feeling homesick to some level. I feel homesick if all of a sudden I'm in the bungalow colony or I'm going back to where I'm sleeping and my wife's in the bungalow colony and, hey, it's great, we're free. But then at the same time, like, hey, where's my family? So there's a part of us that's in doubt. There's a part of us that misses our parents. There's a part of us that feels I can't manage it. There's a part of us that's really crying and feeling like, oh, I can't breathe. Everyone has that to teenager here. There's nothing wrong with you. If you don't have it, there's something wrong with you. You're just expressing it so well. And now let me tell you how to go through this. Going through this is number one, knowing you have the power within you. Your parents did everything great. You did everything great. It's not called anxiety. This is just called normal stress, normal learning a new skill. It's not called anxiety, me going to psychology school after I'm a social worker for over 17, 18 years. It's called starting a new school, having professors mark my tests. And then this is a judgment as to how I am as a therapist. If I don't get a great mark, so many thoughts are normal. Next step for you to know is you're allowed to reach out to help to the counselor and say, I'm really sad, I'm really having a hard time. The most confident people are strong enough to say, I need help, I need support. And support is not a problem. So you can actually ask your counselor and say, counselor, I'm really homesick, or like I'm missing something. And you could be an 18, 20-year-old, normal. And you know what the counselor does? No problem. Ask for some time. Just ask for time. Another point that I ask for you, the teenager, to realize is, when are the times that you get triggered? Is it at night? Is it during sports? Is it at lunch? And then start thinking, what's my issue? What's bothering me? Maybe it's because I'm not sitting next to my friend. Maybe I don't have the bed that I wanted to be at. Maybe I don't feel the counselors are interested in me. Maybe it's at night when I think about my parents. Once you identify when it is, we want to be able to tell that part, this part only comes up at those times. But can I also look at 90% of the day that I'm enjoying it? I have friends. I am liking it. I am in the bungalow colony. If I would be home, or I am in camp, if I would be home in the bungalow or my city, I would be alone. Reassure yourself that there are parts. It's only certain times, but most of the time you're doing great. And last but not least, know that this is a stage that you'll master. It takes usually the first week when this happens, and if you can fight it out without calling your parents crying, or you're calling and crying, but then you hang up and you can like, I got it out. Knowing that within a week, usually everyone loves it. It's a week of adjustment. So either you can build a tolerance, and now the fear goes down. Now you build that resilience for future times going to camp, future times going with family or with friends sleeping away. Or unfortunately, if you don't build that resilience, then what happens is it grows, the fear. And then there's fear of the fear. And then there's fear of the fear where those coming on, how will I get married? And you can do it. You got it. Everyone's got it.
Thank you for watching or listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, maybe share it with a friend. It could be you know someone who has a child like this. It could be that you know someone who's going up for visiting day, and this would be something that would be relevant for them to listen to. So please send this to a friend. A big thank you to Serenity Center for making this happen. Of course, Mordechai Weinberger at the Serenity Center. Thank you so much to everybody listening. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, or anything at all, please make sure to send me an email at nachi@meaningfulminute.org. If it's regarding this podcast, you could put just pause in the subject line. I can't wait to read and hear your feedback. Thank you.